I was a bridesmaid for a friend, but the cash gift I got was a stack of hell money. My friend got into a fight with the groom, and he stormed in with his buddies, trapping us in the room. He even threatened to make me pay during the wedding night hazing. But he didn't know that putting hell money in a wedding envelope is an open invitation to 100 ghosts. That night, every ghost for miles around came to celebrate. And I am the last of the geomancers. My college roommate Jenny's cousin was getting married. Jenny asked me to be a bridesmaid. She said the customs in her village were a little strange. Bridesmaids had to be strangers, and they needed at least 7 of them. 7? Don't weddings usually go for even numbers? Why 7? I don't know. It's just how it's always been. Chloe, please? With the 3 of us from our dorm, I'm still short 1 person. Could you help me find a few more friends? Don't count me in yet. I'm not really feeling it. Being a bridesmaid is no walk in the park. You're up before the sun, teetering on high heels in a dress for hours. I'd rather be sleeping in. Jenny said, come on. My family's in Pine Creek, and the wild mushrooms are all in season. Don't you love watching those mushroom picking videos? I can take you foraging. Plus, our wedding feast lasts for 3 whole days. 3 days of banquets with all kinds of mushrooms. A feast? And tons of mushrooms? Heh, you think I'm that easily swayed by food? My mouth immediately started watering. The next day at noon, Lily and I showed up right on time at the entrance to Pine Creek. Jenny's cousin's husband had already sent people to pick us up. When the 2 groomsmen saw us, their eyes lit up, and one of them let out a loud whistle. Phew phew. Hey beauties. You must be the bridesmaids Jessica invited, right? Not bad at all. They rubbed their hands together, shot each other a look, and then burst into sleazy, synchronized laughter. I stared at them, bewildered. Are you guys on something this early in the morning? You seem a little too wired. You like mushrooms, beautiful? Don't worry, after the wedding this afternoon, I'll take you up the mountain to pick some. The 2 of them led us into the village. It wasn't far from the Mexican border, practically on the line. The place was remote, but the roads were surprisingly wide. And in front of every single house, there was a life-size doll. And not just in front of houses. There were dolls under the big trees by the road, in the grass, and along the courtyard walls. Everywhere. The dolls were sewn from cloth and stuffed with what looked like cotton, making them almost human-sized. They wore different styles of clothes and hats. Some even had masks and glasses on. At first glance, it was seriously creepy. One of the groomsmen proudly explained it to us. Never seen so many dolls, have you? Our village is actually called Doll Village. They say a feng shui master once did a reading for the village and said our population couldn't drop below 999, or we wouldn't be able to handle the dragon energy from Dragon's Peak Mountain back there. We used to have plenty of people, but during the hard times, a lot of people starved to death. The village elders started making scarecrows and paper effigies to stand in for the dead. Now that the economy's better, the young people have all moved away, so there are even fewer of us left. That's why we have to make so many dolls. I stopped in my tracks. Handle dragon energy? That's not a real feng shui concept. And 999 people 9 is the ultimate yang number. It sounds more like you're trying to suppress some kind of evil energy. Was this place a mass grave or something? Even if it were just a normal mass grave, once a village is built on top of it, the yang energy from the living and the smoke from their fires would naturally dispel any lingering negative energy. There'd be no need for a specific population count to suppress it. I frowned, standing on my tiptoes to get a better look at the distant mountains. The groomsman's face fell. What mass grave? Watch your mouth. Yeah, for real. And not a real feng shui concept. Who do you think you are? What do you know about feng shui? They didn't know that I am the sole heir to the tradition of the geomancers. In ancient times, geomancer was a general term for a feng shui practitioner, but it later came to specifically refer to masters who could read the stars. As the saying goes, first-rate geomancers read the stars, second-rate masters follow the water, and third-rate practitioners are a dime a dozen. Most of the so-called masters walking around today are just ordinary practitioners. The ones who truly mastered the art of reading the stars and she all served in the emperor's royal astrologers, working for the imperial family. My ancestors, the Chloes, were the head of that bureau and the hereditary leaders of our school of feng shui. It had rained a few days ago, and a thick fog had settled in the mountains. The layered peaks were shrouded in a white mist that blended with the thin clouds in the sky, making it impossible to see their true formation. I stared for a moment but couldn't make anything out. Just then, Jenny burst out from behind a courtyard gate, beaming. "Chloe, you're here. Quick, go change. The groom's party will be here in half an hour to pick up the bride." Pine Creek's wedding customs were bizarre. Everywhere else, the groom picks up the bride at the crack of dawn, before the sun rises. This is because the man represents yang and the woman yin, and the yang coming to the yin aligns with the rhythm of the heavens. If they happen to be late and the sun is already out, the bride has to be shielded by an umbrella. But in Pine Creek, they picked up the bride at high noon, when the sun was at its most intense. When in Rome, I guess. I felt it was strange, but I couldn't really say anything. The bride, Jessica, was sitting on the wedding bed in a traditional red wedding gown. We quickly changed into our dresses and, under Jenny's direction, started hiding her shoes. This was another part of the ritual. The groomsmen had to find the hidden shoes before they could take the bride away. Before we even finished, the door was being pounded on with a loud thump-thump, sending the roomful of girls into a frenzy of screams. My roommate Lauren was running around the room like a headless chicken. They're here already? Where do we hide them, where?" Jenny calmly directed everyone. "Don't panic, they can't get in yet. We have to block the door first and make them give us cash gifts." Two of the other bridesmaids, who had done this plenty of times before, stood behind the door and expertly started quizzing the groom. If he answered wrong, he had to give them a red envelope with cash. "There are 7 of us bridesmaids in here. Slip 7 envelopes under the door to start." A few thin envelopes were pushed through the crack under the door. It was Lauren's first time as a bridesmaid, and she was so excited she ripped one open right away and pulled out the money inside. "Let's see how much." "Whoa, $10,000? Lauren stared blankly at the single, thin red bill in her hand. "Have you been secretly eating those mushrooms too? Since when is there a $10,000 bill?" I snatched the bill from Lauren's hand. One look was all it took for my face to darken. At the very top of the bill, in big bold letters, were the words, "Bank of Heaven and Hell." I turned to Jenny. "Is this another one of your village customs?" Jenny's face was even uglier than mine. She stomped her foot in frustration. "Of course not. Who puts hell money in a wedding gift? This is such bad luck." "What's wrong?" Jessica, sitting on the bed, heard the commotion. She looked embarrassed and forced a smile. "My fiancé has always been a bit clumsy. Around here, we burn hell money for our ancestors the night before the wedding to share the happy news. Maybe he just accidentally stuffed the wrong thing in the envelopes last night. The night before the wedding is chaotic for the groom's side." Thinking about it that way, it seemed plausible. Everyone accepted the explanation. I sighed, opened all the envelopes, and pulled out the hell money. Hell money in a wedding envelope is an invitation for 100 ghosts to the banquet. Listen up, everyone. This is a mistake you can never, ever make. Inviting 100 ghosts to a wedding feast will get people killed. We still have time. I can say a chant and send the money back the way it came, and we should be fine. But you all have to be careful in the future. This isn't a joke. I laid the 7 bills on the floor, pulled a yellow talisman from my bag, and with a flick of my wrists, it burst into flames without a lighter. A word to return the soul, a path to the 3 realms. Send back the celestial chi, return it to the 9 hells. The talisman burned to ash. I dipped my fingertip in the ashes and wrote the character for return on each bill of hell money, then carefully put them back in the red envelopes. The other bridesmaids looked at me with a mix of shock and weird expressions. "What is she doing? That's hilarious." "Yeah, what's with all the superstitious stuff?" Jessica scrambled off the bed, her face full of annoyance, and tried to stop me. "Chloe, what is all this nonsense you're talking about? Ghosts and spirits, isn't that even more unlucky?" Jenny immediately grabbed her arm. "Sis, listen to Chloe. She's a geomancer, she's the real deal." Lauren shot the other 2 bridesmaids a dirty look. "Yeah, what do you guys know? While Chloe was out busting ghosts, you were who knows where." Our dorm mates had seen enough with me to know this was serious. Since we outnumbered them, the others didn't say anything more, even if they didn't believe it. Jenny slipped the envelopes back under the door and offered a kind warning. "Hey, brother-in-law, take a closer look. I think you might have made a mistake with these envelopes. A few snickers came from the other side of the door. I told you they were a bunch of gold diggers. You girls think that's not enough? You here to get rich. Hearing the groomsmen say that, Jessica's temper flared. It's not about the amount, it's what's inside. Jason, can't you ever pay attention to what you're doing? You're always so careless. Just look at what you put in there. Jason shot back. What's wrong with what's inside? What was I supposed to put gold bracelets in there? Jessica, you're out of your mind. This money is just a giveaway. You're going to be my wife. Are you trying to make me look like a sucker for them? Who do you think you are? The two of them started yelling at each other through the door. Jessica was so humiliated and furious her eyes turned red. Lily couldn't stand it anymore and impatiently knocked on the door. The envelopes that came under the door had maybe $100 or $200 in them, tops. My plane ticket here cost $3,000. Who's after your chump change? Look closely. It's hell money in the envelopes. We can't accept this stuff, it'll cause problems. Take it back. There was silence from outside for a few seconds, then a man with a grating, duck-like voice spoke up. See? Total gold diggers. You're looking down on $100 or $200. At other weddings, the door blocking money is like $10 or $20. You get $100 or $200. What is that your hourly rate? See bro? I told you. One little test and you see their true colors. Jason's voice was tight with anger. Jessica, where did you find these bridesmaids? The way they're dressed is all wrong. They must be used to hustling guys in the big city, huh? You open this door. I'll let this slide for now. Jenny kicked the door in frustration. Jason, how dare you talk like that? Those are my classmates. They're decent college students. What's wrong with wearing a sundress? The way you were staring at Lauren earlier was disgusting. Like your eyes were glued to her. What, you're gonna start slut-shaming her right in front of me? Lauren was a rich kid and always dressed flamboyantly. The weather in Pine Creek was hot, so she wore a loose sundress. Because of her figure, several men had been staring at her chest from the moment she walked into Jessica's house. Jason sneered. College students? Do college students carry designer bags? Look at the stuff on her wrists and neck. Who is she trying to fool? There are plenty of girls in college with sugar daddies. And Jenny, don't you act all innocent either. You're no better. That was the last straw. Lauren had a fiery temper and yanked the door open. Who the hell said I have a sugar daddy? The groomsmen seized the opportunity and swarmed in, grabbing for Jessica. I blocked Jason, pointed at the flattened red envelopes on the floor, and said sharply, "Take those envelopes back." Jason scoffed. You're still thinking about money at a time like this? You want me to take them back and put something new in them for you? One of the taller groomsmen burst out laughing. I knew it. Let me tell you, all of these envelopes were specially prepared for gold diggers like you. You want to make money? Dream on. The groomsman pulled a thick stack of red envelopes from his coat and threw them in my face. The envelopes weren't sealed properly. A few bills fluttered out, the words Bank of Heaven and Hell glaringly obvious. My vision went dark. Holy crap, that many envelopes, all stuffed with hell money? How many ghosts was that going to summon? While I was stunned, Jason threw Jessica over his shoulder and charged for the door. One of the groomsmen yelled gleefully, "Hey, we haven't found the shoes yet." As he said that, one of them reached out to grab Lauren's chest. Before his hand could touch her, a spider the size of a palm fell from nowhere and landed right on his arm. Holy shit. The groomsman screamed and frantically shook his arm. Jason cursed. What's the hurry? You'll get your fun tonight during the wedding hazing. Let's get the bride out of here first. Jessica was crying and struggling on his shoulder. Let go of me, you bastard. I'm not marrying you. Of course, we couldn't just let them take Jessica. We all rushed forward to stop them, but before we even made it out the door, Jessica's mother blocked our path. Oh dear, please don't make a scene. That's just how Jason is, he's impulsive. Let me apologize to you all on his behalf. Jenny was fuming. Auntie, his behavior is atrocious. He's cheap and has a filthy mouth. You're really going to let Jessica marry someone like that? Jessica's mom sighed helplessly. What can we do? Jessica is already a hem, she's already pregnant. Jessica's aunt also came out to smooth things over, saying Jason and his friends didn't mean to target them. And it was all a misunderstanding. It started because Lauren was on the phone outside earlier, telling her friend to ask a guy for a gift, and saying that something worth a few tens of thousands was too cheap. The groomsmen overheard. They were all pissed off, thinking Lauren was just another gold digger. Lauren was about to explode. What the hell? My mom's birthday is coming up, and I was telling her to ask my dad for a gift. What gold digging? They just made up some story in their heads and now they get to insult me like this? Jessica's mom smiled apologetically. I know you're a good kid, and it's their fault. But my in-laws, the groom's father, is the village chief. If we make a big scene, we're the ones who will suffer in the end. It's not easy for us country folk to host a big event like this. Please, girls, just put up with a little trouble and help my Jessica out, okay? I'm begging you. Jessica's mom looked so honest and pitiful, and she had put it that way. We couldn't exactly go storming out to drag Jessica back and ruin her wedding. Even the hot-tempered Lauren grit her teeth and endured it, going along with the wedding ceremony. But we never expected them to double down. After the bride and groom exchanged rings, the bridesmaids' part was supposed to be over. I was about to step off the stage and rush back to Jessica's house to set up a protective ward. With 100 ghosts coming to the feast tonight, I couldn't just stand by and watch a whole village die. Jessica's relatives seemed like decent people. I had to protect them. But a few of the groomsmen blocked me on the stage. Hey, wait. You can't leave. The wedding's not over yet. The MC, holding a microphone, let his eyes greedily scan over us and smirked. This bridesmaid is in such a hurry to leave. You got a date with a lover boy? The groomsmen erupted in laughter. The short one with the duck voice jeered. It's not even dark yet, and you're already that desperate? The MC said, Don't be in such a hurry, bridesmaids. You have to stay on stage and play a few little games with us. The duck voice groomsman added, Of course I know your type. You won't be playing for free. He pulled a thick stack of red envelopes from his pocket and fanned them out, making a crisp slap sound in the air. He raised an eyebrow. How about it? Tempted? This slapping game is way more fun than the one you'll be playing tonight, right? The groomsmen let out another wave of suggestive laughter. I was numb. I didn't have to think to know those envelopes were also filled with hell money. The wedding tent was set up on an open lot behind the village entrance. Red satin was draped overhead, but the sides were just simple posts with no canvas, so you could see outside. Almost as soon as the groomsmen pulled out that stack of envelopes, a chilling wind kicked up out of nowhere inside the tent. The once blue sky instantly turned dark and gloomy. In the distance, black clouds piled up like mountains, slowly moving toward us, gradually swallowing the entire sky. A chill ran down my spine. We wouldn't have to wait until night. As soon as noon passed, the most powerful and vicious ghosts would start to appear. With all the friends and family from both sides gathered here, they wouldn't even have to take this tent down. It would be the perfect spot for a funeral feast in a few days. The groomsmen were completely oblivious to the changing weather, their eyes glued to the bridesmaids. Groomsman number 2 said, What a coincidence. The game I prepared is also about slapping. They moved a few chairs onto the stage, brought out a bunch of colorful balloons, and told us to tie them to our backs. The MC announced, Bridesmaids, please hold on to the chairs and turn your backs to the audience. The groomsmen will thrust their hips to pop the balloons with a pop. Who wants to demonstrate? The duck-voiced groomsman stared at me, his eyes gleaming with lust, and unconsciously licked his lips. Chloe, you're in such a hurry. Why don't you go first? Sure. I have a slapping game I'd like to play with you too. I cracked my knuckles and strode toward him. He rubbed his hands together excitedly and grabbed a balloon from the side. You go for. Slap. Before he could finish, a heavy slap landed squarely across his face. I swung my arm, smacking him so hard he spun a full circle on the spot. Slap. 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 A few more slaps sent him spinning like a top. As I hit him, I yelled, Is this fun? You love games so much? Later, your ancestors can come out and play with you until you've had enough. Everyone was stunned. Groomsman number 2 was the first to react, roaring as he lunged at me. You bitch, you dare hit someone. I kicked him straight in the chest, sending him flying 10 feet, then walked over to the dumbfounded MC and snatched the microphone from his hand. Everyone listen to me. These morons have summoned a massive horde of vengeful ghosts. Go home immediately. Smear soot from the bottom of your pots on your faces. Get a bowl of uncooked rice and hide under your beds holding it. No matter what happens outside, do not come out. Pot soot, known in traditional medicine as 100-herb frost, can stop bleeding, detoxify, and has many other uses. But its most important effect is sealing one's yang energy. Some ethnic minorities in the Northeast have a custom of smearing black on their faces during special festivals to ward off evil and ensure safety. Combined with a bowl of rice, a staple grain, and a symbol of the earth, it invokes the power of a benevolent star known for dispelling evil. With these two things, unless you have exceptionally bad luck, you should be able to survive the night hiding under your bed. After I spoke, the entire tent fell silent. People exchanged confused and astonished glances. Clearly no one believed me. Jason roared, smashing his wine glass on the ground. Don't believe her. He rolled up his sleeves and marched toward me. You fucking bitch. You've probably been passed around by old men in the city. How dare you come here and act all high and mighty? A few groomsmen chimed in, surrounding me. Yeah, can't take a joke? And you hit someone? We'll show you what's what. You bitch, you think we're easy to bully? Rip that slut's dress off. Make her kneel and apologize to Ben. Two of the other bridesmaids had already burst into tears. Jessica was trying to push her way through the crowd. What's going on, Chloe? How did it come to this? Some of Jessica's relatives saw things were getting out of hand and tried to intervene, but Jason's family blocked them at the edge of the stage. They're just young girls, don't do this. You'll scare them. Young girls? They look pretty experienced to me. Spouting all that nonsense about ghosts and death, ruining Jason's wedding. If we don't teach her a lesson, she'll think our family is a pushover. Jason's cousin stood at the front, indignant. Exactly. I knew this group of bridesmaids was trouble from the start. Rip their clothes off, that'll shut them up. Yeah, stuff their filthy mouths with socks. As he said it, someone actually took off his sock and threw it onto the stage. Jason, use my sock to wipe her mouth. Get rid of the bad luck. Jessica was on the verge of tears. Jason, stop. Don't you dare. I was trapped in the middle of a circle of men. Through a gap in the crowd, I calmly gestured to Lily. Lily, you and Jenny get the family out of here first. Make sure they do exactly as I said. The sky grew darker, and a cold wind whipped through the tent, knocking over empty bowls and glasses on the tables with a clatter. Lily snorted. You know I've been in a bad mood lately, right? I was confused. What's up? Lily spat in Jason's direction. Don't let the ghosts eat all of them. Save the groom for me. Tui. What a loser. You're the groom. You. Jason looked like he was about to hit her, but Lily was faster. She grabbed Jenny's arm, jumped off the stage, and started shouting to the relatives. Thunder. It's gonna rain. Everybody go home and bring in your laundry. Half coaxing, half warning, Lily also summoned some snakes, bugs, and rats to scurry across the ground, scattering most of the gawking crowd. Jenny managed to pull her family away. In an instant, the only people left in the massive tent were the men who had stayed behind with malicious intent, and us few bridesmaids. The men were clearly looking forward to what was coming next. Smirks tugged at their lips, impossible to suppress. Jason cracked his knuckles, rubbing his chin as he looked me up and down. Chloe, is it? You should be thankful you're good looking. I'll spare your life. I looked him up and down in return, and sighed with regret. You're not so lucky. With a face like that, I can't save you. Jason snarled. Fuck, you're a stubborn bitch. The duck-voiced groomsman added. Yeah, still trying to pull that spooky act at a time like this? Save us. Where are the ghosts, huh? Where? I pointed to the area below the stage. Right behind you. All the groomsmen were on the stage. Below, dozens of men, Jason's friends and relatives, were gathered, all of them looking up at us. Hearing my words, the crowd laughed. Jason chuckled and turned his head. Playing that trick? I'm looking, hey, where are they? His smile froze on his face. His eyes bulged so wide they looked like they were about to pop out of their sockets. Jason stood there as if nailed to the spot, his body trembling uncontrollably, his chest heaving as he gasped for air. The duck-voiced groomsman was still grinning stupidly, clapping Jason on the shoulder. Bro, you're a pretty good actor. I praised him back. And you're pretty good at playing the fool. Lauren added. He doesn't have to act. He's a natural. She clutched Linda's arm. the two of them trying to shrink into a single ball. Chloe, stop wasting your breath on them. The thing's standing down there, I'm really scared. Linda's voice trembled. Me too. I think I'm gonna pee. Forget them. Even I was scared. I had never expected there to be so many ghosts in the vicinity of this village. Below the stage was a sea of black, stretching almost as far as the eye could see. And it was just past noon, when the yang energy was still relatively strong. The ones that could appear now were all powerful, vengeful spirits. In the front row, there was a hanging ghost with its long tongue lolling out, a weeping ghost in a red wedding dress, another one playfully holding its own severed head, and one whose head was split down the middle like a pair of scissors. They were grotesque and varied, their deaths all clearly horrific. With so many ghosts, I'd have to protect the other bridesmaids when the fight broke out. How many talismans would that take? How much money would that cost me? Just thinking about it made my heart ache as if it were being carved out with a knife. My face went pale. I swallowed nervously and took an involuntary step back. The groomsmen roared with laughter. Scared now? Too late. The duck-voiced one said, I'll count to 3. You take off your own clothes and kneel before me. Before he could finish, Jason's legs gave out, and he collapsed onto him, his voice cracking with sobs. Ghosts, ghosts. Duck voice said, Bro, stop acting. I can't wait anymore. Jason leaped up and slapped him across the face. Act my ass. Ghosts. Run. The slap knocked the man's head to the side, forcing him to see the swarming crowd below. Oh, the ghost crowd. Duck voice stared in shock for 3 seconds, then turned into a screaming chicken. Ah, ghosts, so many ghosts. He fell on his butt and scrambled backward. Suddenly, a shirtless young man floated onto the stage and stood before him. You like seeing people with no clothes, big brother? Then how about you look at me? The male ghost wore only a pair of shorts. His upper body was bare, with a large, perfectly round hole running through his chest. Through the hole, you could see the scene behind him. As he spoke, he reached out. His long fingernails pierced straight into the groomsman's chest. Then, with a rip, he tore his hands apart, and the man's skin, along with his shirt, split open. The groomsman's skin was peeled right off, leaving him a bloody, red mess, screaming and writhing on the ground, like a drop of cold water hitting a vat of boiling oil. Everyone started screaming and running in a mad panic. Just as an old ghost's nails were about to pierce Lauren's forehead, I stomped on Jason's back, using him as a springboard to leap high into the air, and flicked the coins from my hand. I chanted the evil slaying incantation. Foul spirits and wicked ghosts, dare not stand before me. Follow the light and live. Defy it and perish. Where my heavenly talisman lands, misfortune is forever severed. By the high God's decree, I command the slaying of evil demons. With one shake of the fire bell, may all fiends' souls be scattered. The evil slaying incantation is one of the most destructive spells in Taoism. Taoism emphasizes karma, and usually focuses on liberating spirits rather than utterly destroying them. But right now I needed to make a statement and intimidate these ghosts, so I showed no mercy. A handful of coins flew out. The old ghost, just as it lunged for Lauren, let out an agonized shriek. Its body erupted in a ball of fire, and then it dissipated into a wisp of smoke, vanishing into thin air. Annihilating a powerful ghost in a single blow left everyone stunned. The other ghosts were visibly taken aback, their faces showing a hint of fear. I took the opportunity to press a coin into the hand of each bridesmaid. Hold this tight and follow me. Lauren and the others had been through this twice before and knew not to be a liability. They immediately grabbed the 2 bridesmaids who were frozen in fear and scrambled after me. The tent was crowded with people and ghosts. The ghosts didn't dare touch a tough nut like me, so they scrambled to feast on the men instead. The groomsmen were also losing their minds, desperately trying to get closer to me, begging for help. Chloe, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Please save me, save me. 2 of the groomsmen were too slow and were quickly dragged away by the ghosts, their blood-curdling screams echoing through the tent. The rest were scared witless. Jason was a mess of tears and snot, his voice cracking into an 8-octave wail. Save me, I'm Jenny's brother-in-law. Chloe, Master Chloe, for your classmates' sake, I really don't want to die. Well, help me. Master Chloe, save me. I'll do anything you ask. I turned and held out my hand to him. Jason was overjoyed. Master Chloe, I knew you wouldn't abandon me. Before he could finish, I threw a handful of pistachios in his face. Jason stumbled and fell to the ground. I breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, just like that. Stay here and hold them off for us. A heart-wrenching scream came from behind me. I didn't look back, I didn't dare. These ghosts were too brutal. I led the bridesmaids to Jessica's house. Lily was waiting at the door, her face tense. Holy crap, the energy is so thick I can barely breathe. How many ghosts showed up? I said with a grave face, about the same as Lucy's SAT score. Lily was horrified. What? That's gotta be over 100. This is terrifying. Get inside quick. I stuck 2 exorcism talismans on the main door, then led Lauren and the others to a room on the 2nd floor. I used pot soot to draw a symbol on each of them to conceal their yang energy. This symbol is much more effective than just smearing soot and holding rice. Everyone stay in this room and do not go out, no matter what. With that, I sat down on the bed, pulled out a few duck tongues I had wrapped up from the dinner table, and started munching. Lauren asked curiously, "Chloe, aren't you going to go out and save the others?" I shook my head and jutted my chin toward the window. See that black cloud? That's a miasma. The evil energy has become tangible. A normal person couldn't withstand it. If you walk around outside in this, you don't even need to run into a ghost. The miasma itself will kill you. There's no one I can save out there. Besides, I'm scared too. When 100 ghosts walk the night, they can trap you in the underworld forever. If the ghost energy gets thick enough, it could even rip open a gate to the spirit world. Escaping from the spirit world? How many trump cards would that take? How much money? I didn't even want to think about it. It was better to just lay low in this room and wait for sunrise. Ghosts don't like to congregate anyway, they disperse on their own. After hearing me out, Lauren shivered and scooted closer, sandwiching me with Linda on my other side. I squirmed irritably and snapped, "Why don't you just sit in my lap?" Lauren blushed. "Can I really?" She tentatively placed a leg on my thigh. Lily was looking out the window when she suddenly lowered her voice and gasped, "Someone went out." I immediately rushed to the window. Through the glass, I saw a long-haired woman, one hand holding down her hat, her pink skirt billowing like a flower bud in the chilling wind. She opened the main door and ran out, her steps unsteady and hurried. My face instantly fell. That's Jenny. According to Pine Creek's customs, when a bride gets married, besides the bridesmaids, she also needs a sending-off maiden, usually one of her sisters. We had all voted on that pink dress for Jenny in our dorm room. I would never mistake it. What was she thinking, running out at a time like this? Did she have a death wish? I cursed her 1,000 times in my head, but I couldn't just leave her. I had to tell Lily to hold down the fort while I grit my teeth and chased after her. The moment I opened the door, I shivered. A fierce wind was howling outside. The air was bone-chillingly cold and everything was shrouded in a gray haze, like a smoggy day in Beijing, with very low visibility. Luckily, Jenny's pink dress was conspicuous. I chased her silhouette. She didn't seem to be moving fast, but for some reason, no matter how hard I ran, I stayed about 10 or 12 feet behind her, never able to catch up. We ran all the way to a dilapidated old house before she finally stopped. The door was shut tight. The gray cement on the walls was cracked, revealing crumbling red bricks underneath. A wooden window, covered in spiderwebs, creaked in the wind. Jenny stood in front of the window, staring intently inside. I was panting from the chase and reached out to grab her shoulder. "Jenny, what are you doing? I've been calling you this whole time." Jenny turned her head. It was a face sewn from cotton fabric. The mouth was painted a bright red, the 2 eyes were black buttons, and the eyebrows were drawn far apart with charcoal, like a flounder's, looking slightly ridiculous. But I wasn't laughing. An icy chill spread from my spine throughout my body, and my arms broke out in goosebumps. It was one of the dolls from Jenny's house. The kind of doll every household in Pine Creek had. It had put on Jenny's dress to deliberately lure me here. I had chased it all this way without realizing it wasn't human. That was almost impossible. Dolls and paper effigies are easily possessed by spirits. But I have natural-born yin-yang eyes. I should have been able to see the evil energy within it at a glance. But this doll's aura was clean, no different from a normal person's. The doll let out a strange laugh, suddenly grabbed my shoulders with immense force, and threw me toward the window. Its strength was astonishing. I couldn't break free. I had to twist my wrist and use a clever maneuver to pull it through the window with me. We both crashed to the floor. The pain I expected never came. The surface beneath me was soft, like I had fallen into a pile of cotton. I looked down and my scalp tingled. The room was packed to the brim with cloth dolls. I was lying on a mountain of them. Most of these dolls were missing arms or legs, or had two heads sewn on all sorts of misshapen, clearly discarded rejects. The light in the room was dim, and the dolls were all different colors. After the Jenny doll fell in, it didn't move. I squinted, scanning the room, but I couldn't find it. As I stared at the dolls, it felt like they were staring back at me. Those black button eyes seemed to glint with an unnatural light, but when I looked closer, it felt like my imagination. A sense of dread crept over me, and I wanted to retreat. The unknown breeds fear. I didn't know what these dolls were, and I'd rather fight vengeful ghosts outside than stay in here. I pushed myself up, wanting to leave. I took one step and my foot sank into the pile of dolls. At the same time, a sharp, piercing pain shot through my ankle. Damn it! What was that? I cried out, formed a hand seal, and slammed a lightning palm down. 5 thunder command. A flash of purple lightning struck. The arm of a doll near my foot turned black and emitted a foul, burnt smell. I pulled my foot out from under it and lifted my skirt. There was a bite mark on my ankle. A very clear set of teeth marks, but small. It looked like the bite of a child. I tossed aside the top layer of dolls and dug down. Soon, I found the child doll. Unlike the other cloth dolls, this one was made of wood. It was only about 2 feet tall, painted in bright colors, with 2 slits by its mouth that could open and close. I angrily slapped it. Did you just bite me? 8 sister can't eat me. 8 sister can't eat me. A creepy background music suddenly started playing in the room as the doll spoke, mechanically repeating that one phrase. I jumped, turned the doll over, and found a wind-up key on its back. It was getting darker outside, and the light in the room was so poor I could barely see. I stood in the middle of a dark mass of dolls, the room echoing with that unnerving music. 8 sister can't eat me. 8 sister can't eat me. As I glanced out the window, the doll in my hand suddenly blinked. I caught it in my peripheral vision and immediately looked down, but it was still again. I took a deep breath, raised my arm, and prepared to throw it out the window. Get the hell out of here with your creepy act. I swung, but the doll didn't fly out. I looked closely and saw it was clinging to my arm. Ah, gotcha, the doll said, and began to climb up my arm toward me. In that instant, the floor beneath my feet gave way. All the surrounding dolls started moving. They scrambled out from under me. I was falling, a sense of weightlessness taking over as I watched the window shrink into a tiny point of light above me. My heart pounded with terror. This house had a pit this deep underneath it? I had fallen into a goddamn hole. There was no time to hold back. I immediately threw a leaf fire talisman upwards. Disciple summons the god of fire. May all things revere you, and all demons be turned to dust. Boom! A burst of flames ignited the nearest dolls. My fall stopped, and I slammed onto solid ground, gritting my teeth in pain. I looked up. The window was still nearby. The little wooden doll was sitting on the windowsill, swinging its legs and tilting its head at me. Unexpectedly, the leaf fire talisman was already burning out. The flickering flames distorted the scene around me. The dolls swarmed from all directions, their arms reaching for me like branches, trying to drag me into the endless darkness. I swung my peachwood sword, fighting desperately, but each doll was incredibly strong. They grabbed my limbs, and even my sword fell to the ground. The little kid doll on the windowsill laughed, its wooden mouth opening like a black hole. Ah, gotcha. I was furious. These dolls weren't afraid of the peachwood sword, and even the fire talisman had little effect on them. What the hell were they? When you're angry, you lose your reason. As another doll lunged for me, I turned my head and bit down hard on its arm. The moment I did, my whole body went numb. The doll had a strange smell, a faint scent of blood, old tongue oil, and ink. As the smells mixed, a flash of insight hit me. The art of puppetry. This was it. Puppets, originally called Yanshu, were said to have been created by a master craftsman named Yanshi during the time of King Mu of Zhou. They were wooden figures used in funeral music and festive performances. The paper figures and straw men of Taoism are actually a crude form of this art. The advanced version is called human skin puppetry. You sew a piece of human skin onto a doll and control it with secret techniques. The doll can move on its own and has no demonic aura, making it hard to detect. These dolls were coated in H-tongue oil, making them waterproof and fire-resistant. That's why the fire talisman was so weak against them. Using all my strength, I flung off the doll on my left arm, then grabbed the puppet on my right with one hand. I ran my fingers over its chest and back, and sure enough, I felt a smooth patch of skin. I formed a lightning seal with my hand and struck that patch of skin hard. Crack. A bolt of lightning flashed. The entire patch of skin shriveled and burned. The doll went limp, like a puppet with its strings cut. Seeing this, the other dolls went berserk and rushed at me. The kid on the windowsill opened its mouth and spewed a cloud of black mist. A pungent, fishy stench filled the air. A sweet taste rose in my throat, and I coughed up a mouthful of blood. You cheap bastard, you used poison. This was some ancient, potent stuff. I felt dizzy and could barely stand. An old woman-shaped doll lunged at me, pinning me to the pile of dolls. I wrapped my arms around it in a desperate hug, my hands fumbling all over its body, but I couldn't find the patch of skin. The skin was sewn onto the dolls, but the location was different for each one. Some were deliberately placed in hidden spots like the top of the head or between the legs, making them hard to find quickly. My head was spinning. I forced myself to stay conscious, and threw out a few more paper talismans. Boom! Flames erupted around me. I used the distraction to break free, rush to the window, and vault over the sill. The kid doll opened its mouth to bite me. I flipped my hand, stuffed a coin into its mouth, and wedged it in the seam of its jaw. Then I slapped it with a ghost-quelling palm strike, sending it flying. I fell out of the window onto the ground. The cold air outside cleared my head a little. I struggled to my feet and stumbled forward. A few dolls climbed out of the window and chased after me. As I ran, a figure appeared ahead. My heart skipped a beat. Who's there? I called out tentatively. Hearing my voice, the figure sped up and charged toward me. As it broke through the gray mist and got closer, I saw it was another doll. It wore a blue denim jacket, black sweatpants, and had a beige cloth head with those familiar, constantly moving black button eyes. Shit! I'd almost forgotten. Outside, every house in this village had dolls too. I cursed under my breath. This was no time for a fight. I changed direction and ran west. In the thick fog, dolls would periodically emerge and join the chase. Soon, a large crowd of them was running behind me. The intense exercise accelerated my blood circulation. The pain in my head got worse, and I felt drunk, barely able to see what was in front of me. I forced myself to chant a mind-clearing mantra, and kept running. Suddenly, a splash of brilliant red appeared before me. Bright red ribbons fluttered in the wind, cutting through the gray mist and catching my eye. I had run back into the wedding tent. Most of the vengeful ghosts had dispersed, but a dozen or so were still gathered, feasting on the remains. A figure writhed on the ground, a bloody, mangled mess, but somehow still breathing. It struggled to crawl toward me. Chloe, save me. Jason, you're not dead yet? The ghosts seemed to be toying with him. They had skinned and deboned his legs but had left him alive, forcing him to watch his friends and family die before his eyes. When the ghosts saw me enter, they instantly gathered, their eyes glowing with malice as they stared me down. I couldn't run anymore. I collapsed onto the ground. The horde of dolls burst through the mist and into the tent, stopping in front of me. Jason's eyes widened. He glanced at the dolls, then back at the ghosts behind him, and started laughing, spitting up blood as he did. Ha ha ha, you bitch. Look at you now. Die with me. Cough cough. You bitch, this is all your fault. All your fault. Go to hell with me. I sat on the ground, vengeful ghosts in front of me, dolls behind me, and a dying bastard beside me. I was completely trapped. My face was ashen, my eyes filled with despair. Had it really come to this? Was it finally time to use my trump card? No, I refused. There had to be another way. There had to be. I gasped for breath and pulled out my lightning-struck wood token, clutching it tightly. If it came down to it, I'd have to use my last heavenly tribulation order. I held my breath, focusing on what was in front of me. A ghost floated toward me from the left, a doll charged from the right. No, just two of them. One lightning talisman should be enough for now. I reached for a lightning talisman. Just then something strange happened. The ghost floated in front of the doll, and suddenly let out a terrified shriek, turning to flee. The doll, too, seemed panicked, as if it had a mind of its own. It turned to run in the opposite direction, but it was too late. Like two magnets, they were pulled backward through the air, controlled by some invisible hand, and slammed into each other. The ghost vanished, its body passing through the doll and merging with it. The cloth doll, which had been inert, suddenly glowed with an eerie red light, and then, with a bang, it exploded. Fragments of cloth flew through the air, and white cotton stuffing drifted down like a heavy snowfall. I stared, my eyes wide with shock. So that's how it works. These dolls each had a small devouring formation inside them. When strong energy got close, it would trigger the formation, absorbing the external evil energy. Normally, the ghost would possess the doll's body. But at the same time, the dolls had been soaked in black dog's blood when they were made, leaving a trace of yang energy. When yin and yang suddenly met, the imbalance of power caused an explosion. The resulting energy blast was enough to obliterate a vengeful ghost. It was the most cost-effective way to get rid of them. These dolls usually didn't move. But this time, the yin miasma cloud had formed, and a faint amount of its energy had entered the dolls, just enough to create a yin-yang balance, giving them a flicker of consciousness and allowing them to move on their own, which led to this accident. Thinking about it, I couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. The village had made so many dolls and required every household to have them, not to absorb some so-called dragon energy, but to protect the villagers. This puppet master was a genius. After the first doll exploded, the others just stood there dumbly. Their intelligence was low, they couldn't comprehend what had just happened. The ghosts, however, were much smarter. Seeing that, they were already scared and were slowly backing away. But then someone with even lower intelligence spoke up. Jason was utterly stunned. Chloe, Master Chloe, you lured these dolls here to take out the ghosts? You thought dealing with them one by one was too easy, so you decided to take out two at once? Wah, I was blind. I didn't recognize a master when I saw one. Master Chloe, I was wrong. Please save me. You're a goddess. Don't hold a grudge against me. Just think of me as a fart, a maggot, an ant. Please save my worthless life. Jason wailed, banging his head on the ground with a thud. The ghosts were confused. A few of them even had a look of defiance in their eyes. Heh. I let out a cold laugh, sat up straight, and extended both my hands, one to the left, one to the right, and then crooked my fingers. No offense, but everyone here is trash. Come at me, both sides at once. I can take you all out with just 2 fingers. Oh wait, not all of you. All you ghosts. Both sides stood frozen. I chuckled and shook my head with a sigh. Scared already? Fine, I won't even move my fingers. You dare to come at me together? My tone was so dismissive that a female ghost in a red wedding dress couldn't take it anymore. She shrieked and lunged at me. Seeing her move, the other vengeful ghosts bared their fangs and claws and swarmed toward me. The dolls, seeing their chance, also rushed in for a group beatdown. And then there was and then. Fireworks started going off in the air. Pop, pop, pop. The colorful dolls exploded, filling the sky with flying cotton. I sat cross-legged on the ground, my expression calm, completely unmoved. As my heart swelled with smug satisfaction, I felt a pang of regret. I'd pulled off this incredible power move, and the only one who saw it was Jason. What a waste. I turned my head to look at Jason's face. Unbelievably, the guy's eyes had rolled back into his head. The shockwave from the explosions had already killed him. I jumped up in frustration and stomped on his face a couple of times. Get up and praise me, you moron. Useless. What good are you? After stomping on Jason a few more times, I felt even more cheated. I pulled out my phone and called Lily. Lily, I've been poisoned. Come find me at the wedding tent. Lily's voice sounded tense. Poisoned? Is it corpse poison? Are there zombies? No zombies, just vengeful ghosts. My stomach hurts really bad. Hurry up. Lily said. Did you eat something bad? Those duck tongues must have gone bad. I told you to eat less. Oh, just get over here, quick. Lily's reminder made me realize I still had snacks in my pocket. I pulled out a handful of pistachios and started shelling them while I waited for her. My head was getting dizzier by the second. I barely held on until Lily arrived. She was a wreck, her hair a tangled mess, and a long gash on her arm. Ran into 3 vengeful ghosts. They were a real pain. Chloe, are you okay? Why are your lips purple? Weird, there isn't a single ghost in this wedding tent. Where did they all go? I leaned against Lily's shoulder, my voice weak. There were over a dozen. I took them all out in one move. Lily said, "Yep, definitely poisoned. You're starting to talk nonsense." After Lily used her golden cicada goo to cure my poison, she sighed wistfully. "How many more tricks do you have up your sleeve? You better pull them all out, or we're not making it out of here today." I ran into a few dolls on the way here too. Their fighting power was insane. What the hell is going on? I gave her a mysterious smile and tapped my head. This is my greatest trump card. I told her everything that had happened, and then instructed her to lure all the dolls to the front of Jessica's house. I would go and lure the other vengeful ghosts over. I puffed out my chest and waved my hand grandly. This time, we're going big. Lily scoffed. This is so pointless. Then she pulled out her phone to call Lauren, her face a mask of tragedy. Hey Lauren, Chloe and I were not going to make it. You guys stay in the house and don't come out. Hold on until sunrise. We're going to make our final stand at the front of Jessica's house. Make sure you record it and send the video to everyone. This might be the last image of us left in this world. Lauren's sobs came through the phone. Lily flicked her braid triumphantly and shot me a look. Let's go. Split up. Lauren hung up the phone and burst into tears. The others crowded around her anxiously. What's wrong? Did something happen to Chloe? Lauren shook her head, then nodded, sobbing. They're almost done for. They said they have to protect us one last time. And take out the rest of the ghosts at the door. Wah. Jenny started crying too. It's all my fault. I should have just told her I was going out. Then she wouldn't have mistaken that doll for me and chased it. She did it to save me. It's all my fault. Lauren cried. Yeah, Chloe is always so noble. I was such a bitch to her before. I'm not even human. Linda wailed. Me too. I was so judgmental of her before. I deserve to die. As they all cried their hearts out, they suddenly heard a chaotic shuffling of footsteps outside. Everyone rushed to the window. Lauren covered her mouth in shock. On the road in front of the house, a massive, dark horde of dolls was packed on one side. On the other was a swarm of vengeful ghosts, a black cloud of oppressive, terrifying energy hanging over them. The sight alone was enough to scare anyone to death. Lily and I stood back to back at the door, our small figures like a tiny boat on a stormy sea in the dead of night, about to be capsized at any moment. Lauren's heart ached. Crying, she opened a live stream and sent it to her friends group. Chloe's about to die. Everyone, see her one last time. Henri. Impossible. Where are you guys? What are those things next to you, dolls? Tell me the address, I'm coming right now. Class president. Everyone calm down. That's Chloe we're talking about. I'm sure she can handle those ghosts. Lauren wailed. There are too many. Over 100 vengeful ghosts, and all those moving dolls. It's just her and Lily. Wow, we're all going to die here. Outside, the wind howled. The horde of ghosts gathered, and the chilling wind made it almost impossible to open our eyes. Lily and I were covered in wounds, completely exhausted. Luring so many ghosts had been a perilous journey, with several near-death experiences. I leaned my weight against Lily's back. Ready? Lily nodded. Let's do it. We clasped our hands tightly. I silently chanted the golden light incantation, the profound source of heaven and earth, the root of all chi. Through countless eons of cultivation, my power is manifest. A golden light envelopes and protects my body. A golden glow emanated from both of us, piercing through the gray mist. Sand and stones flew, the Yin energy thickened, and the ghosts and dolls surged toward the center, swallowing us whole. Everyone at the window let out a despairing scream. No. Lily smeared some of her blood on our clasped wrists and whispered an incantation. Suddenly, countless red threads of blood shot out from our bodies and wrapped around the dolls. I shouted. Within the 3 realms and beyond, only the Tao reigns supreme. By the swiftness of the law. Then boom. 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 Countless dolls exploded in the darkness, creating a spectacular fireworks display. The thick black clouds overhead roiled and retreated. A bright moon appeared in the sky, its clear light shining down on the earth. The wind died down, the clouds dispersed. Lily and I were thrown to the ground by the force of the explosions. As everyone stared in shock, I patted the dust off my clothes, stood up, and said nonchalantly, "That wasn't as hard as I thought." Scared me for a second though. Almost thought I was going to die here. Lily nodded, even more calmly than me. "It's all over. You can come out now." Chloe, Lauren and the others shouted, scrambling down the stairs and throwing themselves at us. On the other end of the video, the class president was gloating. "I knew it. That's Chloe. Did you all forget she single-handedly took down a flood dragon in West Virginia last time?" Sophie, 2 people took down over 100 vengeful ghosts? Seriously? Is that for real? Are they really that strong? I don't believe it. Lucy, say something. Is Chloe really that much better than you? Lucy, hey, it's fake. It's edited. Class president. Impossible, this is a live stream. Lucy cursed and left the group chat. Damn it, what kind of trick did she pull this time? She really showed off big time. Soon the sun rose. The evil energy in the village completely dissipated. The villagers cautiously emerged from their homes, only to discover the horrific scene at the wedding tent. Everyone was grief-stricken, but since these people were killed by ghosts, there was nothing to be done. They contacted the police while they began to collect the bodies. The weather was clear. I stood on the second floor, looking out at the distant mountains. Only now did I see that the Azure Dragon and White Tiger formations were reversed. This place was indeed a natural gathering point for Yin energy. The Yin energy lingered and never dispersed, which is why the previous feng shui master had come up with such a method to protect the villagers with dolls. Jenny told me that according to their village custom, when a person dies, the skin from their chest and back must be completely peeled off before they can be buried. That skin was then used to make the dolls. This had been the way for 100 years, and no villager dared to break the rule. Your village is in a place where Yin energy gathers. You owe your safety to these dolls. If you want to continue living here, you'll have to keep making them the same way. But living in a place like this long term will affect your health and fortune. You should tell your family to move away soon. I packed my things, ready to leave. Jenny's family thanked me profusely and insisted I stay for a few more days. Just then, a helicopter suddenly appeared overhead. Lucy leaned halfway out of it. Whoa, the Yin energy is this thick. So she wasn't bluffing. The helicopter landed, and Lucy rushed over to the wedding tent. She was stunned. Holy crap, so many people died. Were there really over 100 vengeful ghosts? I let out a cool, calm snort. A mere 100 vengeful ghosts? A piece of cake. Lucy jumped up and down. You're lying. You cheated. You. Her eyes suddenly darted, and she threw an arm around my neck. Chloe, you're the real deal. I never thought your skills would have improved this much in just a few days. I have a difficult case, and I feel like only you have the power to solve it. Want to come with me? I nodded. Get lost. Sophie, standing nearby, suddenly chimed in. Someone took a picture of a hot guy at that location. He looks kind of familiar. In the photo, a man was wearing a black baseball cap, his hand covering half his face, revealing only a sliver of his fair chin. On the back of his hand was a complex black tattoo that snaked up from his pinky finger and disappeared into his sleeve. Kevin. My pupils contracted. I immediately changed my mind and threw my arm around Lucy. Give me $3 million and I'll go with you. And not just me, I'll bring Lily along too. The money's not for me, it's for her. She's the holy maiden of a southern tribe, you know. Her appearance fee is very high. Lucy haggled. 30,000. Me deal. Lucy? Question mark. Hey, wait a minute, something doesn't feel right. Did I offer too much? Hey, stop. End of story.